This episode of Southeast Iowa Today is brought to you by Griner Auto Body of Washington, Iowa, using state-of-the-art techniques and decades of experience to get your car back on the road after an accident. Car Doctor of Washington, Iowa. No matter who Frankensteined it, they can fix it, clean it, and customize it. McDonald Boatyard of Keota, Iowa, for all your farm equipment and auto recycling needs. For great food, it's Your Choice Family Restaurant of Wayland, Iowa. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Try the John Bain Sandwich on your next visit. Girling Repair of Winfield, Iowa. If your mower is dead, call Fred, your Husqvarna, Aaron's, and Gravely dealer. Fred also fixes and sells snowblowers. B&B Propane and the family of jet stops. CW Tree Trimming, LLC. We're into your trees, not your wallet. Serving all of Henry County and the surrounding area, and we offer a senior citizen and veteran discount.
Iowa Technology Systems of Mount Pleasant, Iowa. Your one-stop computer tech shop. If you, someone you know, or are a business that is having trouble needing laptop, PC, or business technology help, call us today. Visit iowatechsys.com.
Dutch Market and Coffee Talk of Washington, Iowa. Dutch Market can handle all of your grocery needs. They even have a conference room that you can use for free. Coffee Talk's drive-thru is open and ready to serve you coffee, energy drinks, sandwiches, baked goods, and ice cream. They all present the award-winning Southeast Iowa Today. Here's the author of Christie's Journey, The Beat Goes On, and your host, John Bain.
Thank you, announcer Cody Roy, for your golden pipes and wonderful introduction. It's Thursday, December 11th, 2025, and I'm back at the Henry County Courthouse in Mount Pleasant, Iowa, where the Board of Supervisors held their weekly meeting. On today's agenda, approval of minutes, County Engineer Jake Hotchkiss weekly updates, P&Z Joe Buffington, Lot 1, Schlatter Subdivision Phase 3 in Section 15, Jefferson Township. That was moved to a different time. Discussion and possible action seeking outside counsel for reimbursement to Carlos Lopez. Discussion with local morticians and county responsibilities. That was moved to a different date. Supervisors subcommittees. The supervisors have kicked the can down the road on regard to reimbursement to Deputy Carlos Lopez. Whatever you do, you need to watch this whole episode, and especially public comment. Make sure you put your thoughts in the comment section down below, and make sure to give this episode a like, follow, and subscribe. It's free.
Shall we all rise, please, for the pledge? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will call this meeting of the Henry County Board of Supervisors on December 11, 2025 into session. First thing is to approve our agenda, and item number 6, item number 5 will be brought up next week. There's some issues with that one, so.
We'll make a move to continue that to next week.
Continue that next week. With that, is there a motion to approve that with the continuation?
Yep.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. I will also interject the number 6 is scheduled for 11 o'clock for those people. That will, if we're done before that, that will be reconvened at 11 o'clock for that one. Because I didn't, when making the local calls to all our local morticians, I wanted them to all to come at the same time and we could be responsive to them. We have the minutes of December 4th, 2025 presented to us. I know, talked to Robin, there was a duplication of one sentence and one other minor little word change.
So a couple of little scrivener errors?
Yes.
Okay.
With that, and you mentioned the 1, 2, 3, so the motion to approve that.
Yes, with the scrivener errors, I motion to approve.
Second?
Yeah.
Second. All, any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Jake? Your
Okay.
turn.
I don't have any permits, you have to bear with me and my voice. I don't have any permits or motions this week. Just give you an update on maintenance work. We did send our plow trucks out Sunday morning. We had not a lot of snow, but just enough that made slip conditions. We sent them out for a round in the morning. And then we also went out Monday morning just to check routes again. Most of it had cleaned up pretty nicely. Territory operators have been working on the roads, blading off and on. Truck drivers are hauling spot rock to various locations, and that's in between us doing snow work. We were able to send out a crew to work on various locations for brush. So now as we get into these colder months, we'll start to send out our chainsaws to work on areas together, sporadic areas that we've had for calls or requests, or some areas that we want to do work in. And then signs, various locations. Pete has been focused on our detour signs with a bridge closure, and then just working on replacement signs as well. Snow fence. We were anticipating having snow fence up earlier, but we had to finish up some other work. So they were actually out today trying to get some snow fence up before this next round of snow comes in. Again, we're just looking at some of the worst areas that we deal with drifting. And then if we get more time, we'll add some more to it. But we have a certain amount that we put up. We've done, I think, for around about the last 4 years now that we've been putting snow fence up. It does help when we have those events. Luckily, most of it has melted, so the guys are able to get out there and get some of that work done. Miscellaneous construction. So we're working on the fiscal year 27 budget. One of the items that we have to do with the ordering of our equipment, we budget the equipment when I come and present to you. But at this time, with the way the trucks are and with some of the lead times that we're looking at, I'm actually going out and receiving quotes for a new tandem truck right now. And I just wanted to make sure that you guys were okay from the perspective that in the next fiscal year, I was budgeting for a new tandem truck, but I will probably have to get signed on before I present to you guys. So I wanted to move that through to make sure you guys were aware that I was gonna make that decision. So typically if it's in my budget, you guys have not had an issue with me ordering stuff, but this would be for next fiscal year budget. So, and again, with the way the truck market is, we can get the truck chassis relatively early. So it actually is sitting on a lot waiting to get the body installed on it. The truck bodies, that would be the tandem, the dump truck side of it, the dump body. That's what there's a lot of lead time and we have to wait for it. So the truck that we had currently ordered for this fiscal year, the chassis is on the ground. We'll be paying for the chassis up front, but the dump body won't be available till the end of this fiscal year or into early next fiscal year. So there's a little bit of managing or manipulating the budget just to make sure that the dollars are there to pay for it. But I just wanted to bring you guys, make sure you didn't have any issues with that as I mentioned.
Do you have a ballpark on that, dollar-wise?
Last year, our truck, the full thing without the trade value was right around $250,000. So I would anticipate in that same ballpark.
Same making series and everything.
Yep, so, really utilize the Mack truck as a truck vendor that we've been utilizing, so we go out, get it from a couple different vendors that sell that unit. But we're really trying to organize our fleet now to be, one type. It's easier for us to do maintenance on. We have a relatively close dealership nearby that we can do work on. We used to receive quotes from like a Hoka, with, some of the Freightliners and Western Stars. But there you're really talking about some longer distance traveling when we have issues and having to get the trucks transported. Right now, we have a really short distance drive there in Minneapolis with H&O Max, or not, Next Gen, is what it's called now. So if you don't have any issues, I just wanted to make sure you were comfortable with that. Typically, our new equipment budget, just for an idea for you, is we're usually between $600,000 and $800,000 a year that we do on new equipment. And that's just replacing equipment that's at the end of its life, or what we're looking at for the end of its life. So this falls into that as part of one of the pieces that we would be looking at.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
Do you have any other major equipment purchases then, or is that the only one coming for?
That's the only one I have to do up before I present to you guys, yeah.
Okay.
All right, 235th Street, the bridge is closed. The contractor closed the bridge on December 8th. They started removing the existing bridge. They are stripping topsoil. They're working on building ramps so that they can do some work down below on the channel. The first phase for the bridge removal is to remove the deck, and the contractor's out there right now breaking up the concrete deck, and they have started on the east end working west on the bridge. And we've had a few issues with signage. There's been some concerns about signage. We are following the standard that they have for the DOT. We are going to look at adding some extra signage on the detour side of it to help maybe clue people in on what's going on. But we are dealing with some trucks typically people not believing the signs that are out there or not seeing them. There's always a visibility issue, like how much do you put out there? We do try to follow the DOT standards when we're putting out the actual closure itself. We are gonna add a few more signs to try to help the public know. Typically the first couple weeks are the worst, but we do have a lot of commuters that don't normally travel that are coming that way, so we're gonna try to meet those needs as we can, so.
Okay, yeah, I had a couple people from Fairfield coming over for a meeting yesterday, and they ran into that situation too. They didn't believe the signs, so they turn around and come back.
Luckily, the biggest thing is semis right now. I mean, the cars are a nuisance from the public that live in that section, but the semis are the ones we really need to try to get their attention. So we are gonna add a couple barricades that are outside that traffic control setup, that'd be part of our detour operation. And then we will look at maybe adding some more with the traffic control, but we have to just be careful on how we gotta follow the standards that are out there.
Closer back to Fremont, or Franklin rather.
Yeah, so we're looking at both ends, so yeah, we're trying to see what would work best on that, so. And then the last thing I had, was ITC. They're looking at wanting to lease our quarry, to store their equipment and, reimburse us for a fee to that, so I gave you guys a copy of the draft agreement. And then my plan would be is next week is to bring that to you for, with a resolution to have you move forward unless you guys have any objections to that, but just gives you a chance to read through it. I gave you a little summary on top of what's involved with it as well. That's it. Unless you have-
Reviewed by
The very back page actually has Steve G has looked at that, as far as the content, not necessarily, as far as the legal background of it, it's fine, but as far as the agreements, what we're agreeing to, I gave you a summary on top there.
Okay.
This still does allow us to use the quarry for hauling rock out, we just have to get our work, crushing all that done ahead of time when they move in, so.
Okay. Remind me again on Fremont, when is that gonna be closed, north of Oakland Mills?
We don't know yet. We're planning to have a pre-con this month yet. Andrew talked to the contractor, I think it was yesterday or the day before, and we're gonna set up a pre-con for both the Fremont culvert and the one there on Lexington, at the northeast end of the county. So we'll do it, and so I don't know which one they're gonna go to first. They may go to that one first, and then this one will sit back and wait a little bit, so I'll hopefully have some more information once we have that pre-con.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else?
I have nothing.
Okay, thank you guys.
All right, thank you.
It's the, power transmission lines. Their companies are ITC Holdings, thank you. Yep.
Next on our agenda is the discussion and possible action seeking outside counsel for reimbursement for Carlos Lopez. Open this discussion for you two.
Chad will take the lead.
Yeah. As I had indicated before, I think that needs to be done. I think the moral and the ethical obligation is there to get that taken care of. My question is, what avenue or what route do we do to get there? What legal standing do we have to get there? So I'd make a motion for us to seek independent legal counsel that is representing us as a client to give us that opinion on how to move forward. So,
You wanna elaborate on any of the details you've worked on so far?
Let's have a motion. We have a
Oh, we
motion,
didn't have a motion
second,
yet,
and
yeah.
have a
All right,
discussion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
you know, I've talked to other attorneys. We've had attorneys present here give us ideas and suggestions and things like that. They are not our attorneys. I would like them to be our attorney, representing us as a client, moving forward. I've talked to other attorneys that are actively working in the field that feel that this is a doable thing, that this is an issue that could be taken care of by the county moving forward, because one, a lot of emphasis has been put on the ruling from the Judge Rydell that says it really shouldn't ever have happened. But moving forward, I think, you know, I think we, in my mind, I would like to have an attorney representing us give us that legal opinion.
Well, I see us in a very difficult situation, obviously. I support Deputy Lopez's request for reimbursement as well. I think that's the right thing to do. Just to give you a little background, I pulled up a couple of codes here that tie into that so that we can review that. I'm sure many people in the, Chad, you probably looked at this as well. I think it gives us the ability to be able to reimburse. I think it gives us the opportunity to support county employees. I think we have an obligation here to support the county employees from a financial aspect. I think if we look at, as you said, Judge Rydell's ruling, Deputy Lopez was inappropriately placed on the Brady Giglio list, which resulted in legal fees for him, which should never have happened. So I'm really frustrated that our county attorney has continued to allow the situation to move forward as it has. I think there are some, a couple of other examples here to give you, if I can pull that up real quick. You know, sometimes technology just doesn't want to cooperate. I think, you know, we looked at Iowa Code 670.8, talking about our employees being indemnified. We also talked about a couple of situations here where we're looking at Iowa Code 331, 434, talks about reimbursing employees and how we go about doing those types of things. So I think there's plenty of opportunity for us to work together as a group to better understand what we need to do and how we need to do it, and do it a little more expeditiously than what we have so far. You know, this individual's gone through this process since April of 23, I think. Is that correct? You know, 2.5 years is a long haul and a long process to go, not just from a financial aspect, but also from an emotional aspect. And we need to step up. It's our responsibility as supervisors to make that decision, and I think we should make that decision. Mark, anything?
With that, I understand what both of you are saying. My thoughts are, with Chad, no, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but what I'm understanding is that you want to make sure that we're taking the correct procedure step by step in how we go about this reimbursement.
Yeah, I think the destination on that map, I think, has already been determined. I'm just trying to find the road mapping to get there.
And we need to find a map. And I'll concur with you, Chad. I agree. I think that we need to have somebody tell us that is not involved in any way that we're doing the right thing.
I would agree with that, but I also think that Iowa Code 331, 434, paragraph 6 gives us a pretty good roadmap on where we come up with the dollars. I think that tells us that we have the ability to be able to appropriate funds for the county officers and departments. We have the ability to call a public hearing, and I think those funds should come out of the county attorney's budget, because the county attorney is responsible for the situation. So that's my proposal.
We have a motion and a second, Bill, right now.
Is there any case law or case history that anybody is aware of doing that? I understand that there's a pending, or a Supreme Court ruling from a neighboring county that hasn't been adjudicated yet, that hasn't been heard. I think it might have some significant connections with what we're doing here. you know, I guess if we jump ahead and make that payment, make the approval for reimbursement, which again, I think we should do that. Not jump ahead, but make that improvement in the right step and course of time. If we don't, I got concerns about dragging the county into 3 more lawsuits right here. 1, 2, and 3 right here for that. They might be frivolous, they might be goofy lawsuits, but they are a lawsuit. And each one of those 3 would incur more legal fees, more wrangle jangle down the road and everything. It just seems like we're locked in this big vicious circle that we just keep going around and around and around. You know, I've done my life trying to abide by law, following the letter of the law the best I can. I want to have an attorney, somebody that's proficient, legal, uninterested in this case, you know, from Podunk City, wherever, look at the facts and say, here it is. You know, you have legal grounds too, because I think there's some bias. You know, we get directions, we get things like that. As the county attorney gives us a direction, I don't agree with 100%. I just don't agree with that. But that is the county's legal representative giving us that advice.
That opinion, yes.
Advice, opinion. Last May, the legislature was changed and allows us to take that one step further to hire an independent counsel to review things and give us an independent opinion. I think if we don't do that, I don't want to be thought of as shooting the county's foot off. You know, Carlos, it's no secret. I think you need to be made whole on this. It's no secret about that. I would like to see that happen. How do we get there? You know, I can't believe that the Iowa law system will allow somebody to get wrongly pulled through the mush and then not have a right to recoup those fees or those expenses for that. I mean, I guess I hope I don't have too much faith in the system, but there should be some mechanism in place that this can be done, and I think we need to. It's not the best case scenario, I know that, but it just seems like we need to take the right steps to get there.
I can agree with that to a level, but yeah, I look at this as almost a weaponization of our legal system here to allow an individual to continue to say no, 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 without giving us good, thorough representation of why no. No is not a good answer here. We need better explanation. So if we need legal counsel, I'm okay with that, but I think that we need to get to the point where we do that sooner than later so that we can do our due diligence, obviously up front, but then to follow through and make sure that we get these obligations taken care of. We have an obligation to the employees of the county as well, not just from a financial standpoint, but from a representation standpoint.
No, I think things like this, if we don't do this, who's gonna wanna apply for it the next job? I mean, if I were looking at things like that, it's like, okay, what's the track history? Where are we looking at here? I mean, are we gonna get hung out to dry and flop in the wind and not have any recourse? Or is my employer gonna stand behind me on things? That's a important thing, whether you're a clerk or a deputy or a road grader operator. I would think that everybody would be interested in having the employee stand behind if there's something that has been found wrong in the process prior to that.
Any other discussion?
As Steve mentioned, I mean, there's a number of code sections there that I'm a layperson. I obviously not a legal beagle expert, but it just seemed like, again, I'm rehashing and just repeating myself, but,
But to your point, I know that we know that Jefferson County has reimbursed Sheriff Richmond. And they did that in the same basis, in the same situation. You know, we've had this situation with our sheriff, now with our deputy sheriff, now potentially with us. You know, at some point, this needs to stop. This whole conflict with the county attorney. And we need to put a stake in the sand at some point and say, okay, here's the line in the sand, and we need to move forward.
and if we're proven wrong in this, Supreme Court ruling or whatever, if it comes back, we have to be willing to face inappropriate expenditures, which I don't agree with, because I think they are appropriate, because somebody got drugged through the mud wrongly.
So,
But
however you look at it, we're gonna have expenses, right? You know, the deputy could at some point say, I'm gonna sue the county. Okay, now we have more expenses. We're gonna go to HUB, our ICAP insurer, and say, okay, now we have a claim, so now we have more money expended. So we're in a situation, so maybe there's an arbitrator that can help with this situation, but at this point in time, all we're doing is spending money and spending more money on bad money. We're chasing this whole situation, and it is just continuing to cost everybody more money and more grievance throughout the county, animosity. I mean, look around, good grief.
To that point, Steve, I think what Chad is saying, we're trying to remedy that. So,
We need to do it a little more quickly.
that's something I've learned, so. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of, you go ahead.
If we do that, if we move forward, would there be a law firm that would be in mind, or that could be hired, that could give an independent view? Not about the Lopez case, because that's already been adjudicated. I mean, that's already been looked at. I think that's a separate thing. And the issue is not the Lopez thing, it's how we pay for it. How can the county pay for this?
So are you asking then, already now, who do we go, if we would pass it, who do we look for counsel?
Well, that's gonna have to be figured out, you know.
So, what is our motion?
Our motion is, you have it down, Robin, but I would.
It was on the reimbursement
is
of seeking outside counsel for reimbursement to Deputy Lopez.
Read it again for me, please.
It was, the motion was made by Chad about seeking, outside counsel.
For the supervisors,
For the
seeking outside
supervisors to-
counsel
yes.
on how to reimburse the,
Deputy Lopez.
Guys, I mean,
is that how you made it, Chad?
essentially, I mean, all three of us have taken an oath to follow the existing law, right? We have to follow the law. We have to have a background in that law to be able to move forward. Feelings, I think our feelings are already known, or mine is, and I've put them out on my shirt sleeve and slobbered all over them enough here. We gotta have the legal backing. I mean, nobody can go out and take action without having that legal backing. I don't agree with some of the advice that we've been given, or opinions that we've given. I just don't. That's why I think we need to get an independent source that doesn't have any bearing over here, they don't have any bearing over here. They're giving us an independent opinion on that. I would think that the Iowa Attorney General's office would step up and do things like that. But I guess I'm kinda disappointed things like that don't happen.
They will not.
Yeah.
I've spoken with Brenda Bird personally all the way through this mess.
And I find
She
that,
will not
I
get
find that goofing crazy. I think her office, in situations of this nature, I think they ought to look at it. Hopefully they would not be involved in, they'll look at the facts alone, you know,
She will not.
and they won't. Yeah.
Talked to her last Thursday about the ruling between her and the state auditor, which is a conflict of interest. You might wanna look that one up, but she will not get involved.
We have a motion and a second. We will have a vote to seek outside counsel. All those in favor of seeking outside counsel for the Board of Supervisors, say aye. Aye.
Roll call vote.
It doesn't have to be, it's not a
It's
resolution.
not a resolution.
Not a resolution. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No. We will now be seeking outside counsel for the Henry County Supervisor. Next thing on our agenda is subcommittees, but Rich, since you are here, you handed us two.
Yeah, just a couple letters of hiring. We hired a young man named Aiden Irving. He started in the jail last week. He fills one of our 3 vacancies. We have applications that we're entertaining this week and next, and we're gonna try and hire a couple more to get us back to full staff in jail. And we hired Chad Doak to come back to work as our part-time court security deputy. He will start right after the first of the year.
Okay, that was not stated here, so I wondered when he's gonna start.
Yep.
Okay. Supervisors subcommittees. Have any?
Yes. You wanna go first?
Subcommittee, not really a subcommittee, we all will be attending the District 5 meeting at Lake Darling Conference Hall, Friday. We will be talking county stuff up there, not in a decision-making arena or scenario, but we will all be attending that, so that's on my agenda there.
It's our District 5 meeting.
Yep.
Steve?
Yeah, I had 3 meetings this week. I had a Russ meeting where we went over mostly financials and where we're at. We had a couple of folks that were discontinued in Ollie, and that amounted to some significant dollars for those folks to get rehooked and reconnected. But the biggest conversation we really had was with Bruce Hudson, talking a little bit about his trip to Des Moines County with the wind turbine situation down there. He gave some input on the Board of Health situation. Really what they were talking about more was wells and permitting and the water situation down there. So he gave us an update on that. And then we talked a little bit through some of the format he's working with. They're gonna increase some planning and zoning opportunities in Louisa County with some increased solar activity over there. So they're gonna have more input from Russ situation. So we talked that through. And then I also had Southeast Iowa Regional Planning last week. We went through those minutes and meeting notes. Nothing major to report on that, other than Zach James is gonna be here next week to talk to us, give us a final report on revolving loan fund situation and where we're at and the changes that we've made to that. So I think those are pretty significant changes that will allow more people throughout the community here in Henry County to get funds that they can use, not just for small businesses, but also small business expenses, which was always a little bit of a handicap, and then working more diligently with all of the financial institutions, like you had mentioned, Chad, once before. It includes the credit unions now as well. So he'll be here to give us an update and then make sure that we're comfortable with that, and then he's gonna ask us for a motion and approval to move forward with that. And then the last thing that we talked about from Henry County's perspective, Brent Schleisman and Chad Hudson and I are on the team, and we have an opening on the TAC team. That's the Technical Advisory Committee, and we're looking for an agricultural person in the ag field, in the ag industry, to help us support that. That person's gonna help look at some of the STBG grants and some of the stuff that Jake does in coordination with Southeast Iowa Regional Planning, and then we'll get that person appointed, and then we'll have a full team again.
From Henry County or just regional?
Henry County, yeah. So we've looked at 6 or 7 people. We've got a few names, but if you guys know anybody, give it to us. And
I got one on there too.
yeah, great. We've had really 3 or, out of the 6, I'd say 4 of them are really, really good. So I think we're in good shape there. One last thing, we did have an HR meeting on Tuesday. I pulled the notes up here from Paul. If you want to read through those, you can get a little better idea and get more comfortable with it. One of the things that we did come up with, this whole situation with the compensation plan, we discussed that in detail, make sure everybody's comfortable with it. We also talked a little bit about work comp, and I think we have a much better direction on where we're going with work comp, and then talked a little bit about the safety applications as well. And Chad, you talked to Walt about maybe heading up the safety committee, and I think everybody's buying into that as well. So, and Walt's got some ideas of what he wants to do there. So I think there's some really good process working there, and Paul will have another meeting with the team in January, right? And they're gonna have a joint meeting talking about safety as well as everything else that we want to talk about from an HR and a compensation plan.
And kind of piggyback along that District 5 meeting that we'll be attending, I want to network with some other counties and see what kind of duties that they have delegated to their EM guy, if any of their EM guys are working in similar fashion for the county, the safety security type thing. Try to, rather than reinvent the wheel, see what people are doing, see how it's working out. But
yeah, and I know he has a good relationship with Max from
yeah,
Van Buren.
I think Walt has a good relationship with all his counterparts in the area and things like that. I think that's a good working relationship with them.
And then the last thing that we did talk about, and I talked with Paul about this a couple of times, is we have department heads, and so the conversation was Paul is a contracted individual, so we can make him a department head, and then he'll report to the Board of Supervisors, so we have a more direct line of supervision there and a more direct feed from Paul back to us, and that way we could work together a little more closely. And he's willing to do that without any additional fees as well as this. So I think we're in pretty good shape to have a better process in mind, especially when we talk about all the things that are on here, but also when it comes to hiring and folks leaving the county as well. I think we need a better process there. And the one thing I can say is from the hiring process, everybody probably knows we just hired a new IT person. Gunnar Sloan's going to start on Monday, so we're pretty excited about that. But we used that whole process that Paul put together from an HR process, and we were fortunate enough to have the ICIT team available to help us. We had 19 or 20 candidates, and the ICIT team pulled that together. They narrowed that down to 4 really good candidates, and then from there we were able to interview those individuals. Rich and Jake and Joe helped do that as well. So really good opportunity and a good process. I think we follow that process, we'll be much better off in the long run. Really good candidates. And then the last thing, Robert and I talked about this morning a little bit, and I talked with Steve Gablehouse about this. On the 18th of December, the ICIT team will be here to give us a final audit and update. And the latest version of that, Lene, is that it will be a closed session. Completely closed. There will not be any open session with the audit itself. And that'll be restricted just to the Board of Supervisors, the recorder, the attorneys, and our new IT person. And of course, the folks giving the presentation. So that's new and very recent as of late yesterday afternoon.
Is there a time for that?
The time frame that we scheduled would be 11 o'clock because we have a pretty good schedule for next week, I believe. So, and those folks are traveling from Des Moines.
I had a few minutes to share, exchange some ideas with Gunnar. I told him one of my projects that I would like to see, and I think the board would echo this, would be to get a system, an audio recorder system in place, put together.
This is new, I've never heard this.
Well, I'm sure that will probably be brought up in public comment. But just want to let that be known that I asked him, I said, keep this in mind as one of the priority projects for the county.
Yeah, I think that's.
Time to be thinking, I mean, there's a half a month, before the new year and everything, but I think
we got opportunity there.
Be working there.
Sure, absolutely. So one of the things that I've talked with the ICIT team on in that respect is having a liaison work with our new IT person, and I'd like to be able to do that so that we can continue that process. He'll obviously be a department head, he'll be responsible to the supervisors, but at least working with him as a liaison and making sure that we continue that communication on the projects that we're looking for, as well as making sure that everybody in the county is covered. And we can talk about that in more detail, but he will be here Monday, and I plan to be here Monday morning.
And I guess I forgot to say something earlier. Been working with Mr. Carter at the engineer's office and the security alarm system, about getting them located and properly labeled, properly identified as far as locations and things like that. The local fire department has asked if that could be shared with them for their pre-planned efforts and everything. For, you know, if there's a fire in this room, they could say, okay, center room, you know, first floor, because most everybody thinks that this is the first floor, then second floor and third floor, versus first floor, second floor type thing. So it's properly identified, properly logged, where they could point the firemen to the right location. Hopefully that can be finished today. Excellent Security was gonna have a team here, or a guy here, kind of going through, and Andrew was gonna be here and make everything gel together.
That's a good project, we need to know where those are. Yeah, that's had a lot of confusion over the course of
I mean, the alarm company had most everything logged and located, but Andrew's kind of a CAD drawer type thing, so I mean, he can drag that over, and it shows the location a little bit more refined.
Yeah.
I think
That's
all
good.
a good deal.
Yeah, cause I remember last time, we didn't know where zone 66 was, so.
Well, and
We do now.
And before
Yeah.
the treasurer's office, the alarms up there, they were not located or logged or anything. They were just non-existent. I mean, they were there, but non-existent on the recording, the thing, so we plugged that in.
Good project, yeah.
Anything else?
I believe that's it.
Public comment.
Pfeiffer Sawmill, your local home for kiln-dried lumber and affordable trailer decking to your specifications. All in Rome, Iowa, serving Mount Pleasant and all surrounding areas. Do you like to throw a hatchet? They've got your board. Call Ben today at 319-931-4544.
So, Tracy Lamb with the Hawkeye newspaper. Steve, I have a question for you about the closed session on the 18th.
Yes.
What section of Iowa codes governing open meetings? There's only so many reasons you can go into a closed session. So,
I have.
what are you basing it on?
For you. I'll just share it with you. That way I don't have to quote it,
Sure.
because I'd probably get it wrong. It's got 22.75. And this seems to be pretty common amongst our IT folks throughout the state. So this is through Iowa State Association of Counties. And
So that was their advice to
Yes,
go
correct.
into
And I
closed session.
visited with Steve Gablehausen on it, he's reviewing it, but we've used this the last time they were here at the end of October,
Okay.
and everything was fine.
Will you be doing some sort of comment following that closed session in public? Or will there be some sort of a,
Probably not.
probably not?
Probably.
Okay, all right, thank
Considering
you.
the sensitive nature of the situation.
Okay.
And the information.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Marilyn?
I just wanted to make a short statement. It is my duty as a journalist to remain impartial in this situation. I just want to turn to everybody. If you saw me shaking my head, no. It's actually because I have bangs that get in my eyes. That was all. I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Thank you.
Bob?
First of all, regarding the situation, Deputy Lopez, precedent has been set previously with prior sheriffs on seeking outside counsel and the county paying for it. Secondly, as a taxpayer, I'm very upset. Totally upset with you spending extra money for your council. Why didn't you go out on your own like Deputy Lopez had to? And then you can seek reimbursement from the county. I mean, tit for tat. You didn't bother you to tax me for items like Hershey Hall. And you only had one reading on it, and you waived the second and third reading. That was different. That was to benefit somebody else. When you do make a settlement with Deputy Lopez, I hope you pay him interest. I hope you take that in consideration. If he had to take out a loan to pay for his lawyer, he's paying interest on that. That should also be included in his reimbursement. I'm getting a little sick and tired as a veteran. I served time serving this country, and several others did in here too. And to see our people being treated like this is really sickening. It's very disappointing. You don't have the guts to do what you know you gotta do. And you're pussyfooting around, excuse me, trying to worm your way out of it. Maybe we can seek legal counsel. Precedent's already been set in this county. Go back through the records and find out. And you know the sheriff that was reimbursed. Don't you, Chad?
I know the Bart Richmond and Fairfield were partially reimbursed.
Mm-hmm. What about Terry Morrow?
That I don't have.
Okay, do some research. Mark, I'm sure you remember that.
No.
No, you don't. Convenient.
He was not a sheriff when I was here.
He was not a sheriff? Terry Morrow was not a sheriff? You've been on the supervisor how many years?
Finished my 27th year.
27 years.
No, first one was,
Time flies.
Time flies, I guess, because I went on the sheriff's reserve in '82, and Terry was the sheriff. And I went off in 2011, and that was 4 more sheriffs after that. And you don't remember Terry Morrow being sheriff?
I remember being sheriff,
But you wasn't a supervisor.
I was not a supervisor.
Okay. Well, do a little research. I think you'll find it. Enough said. I'll probably get arrested here.
Really?
And if I do get arrested here, I want Lopez to arrest me. That way the charges will be dropped. I've had it, man.
I gotta make up for last week, okay? I got grounded kind
I'm ready. Hang on.
Can I quote you on that?
Hang on.
Alright, some time ago,
Hang on. Give me a couple minutes. Call it pussyfooting, Bob. I get where you're coming from.
By your own lawyer.
No. It's like this. We have the whole county to think through. If we get sued by 3 different lawsuits, that is 3 times more than what it should be. Everybody thinks that. I mean, maybe I'm not articulating it well enough.
No, you're not.
I'm good with paying him, getting that done, but we gotta do the right steps to move forward to that. You just can't shoot yourself in the foot and make a hasty decision and
You
have
already
it come,
have.
and have it come back and bite you.
You already have made a hasty decision.
No, Bob, I have not made a hasty decision. You may not agree with it, and I'm sorry for that, but I gotta live with what I think is best action, the best course of action right now is, yeah, we might have to spend a couple more $1,000s on a legal advice, but we are gonna have legal advice that supports the county's position to make a reimbursement.
You've got counsel right across the room.
Yep.
If you don't trust that counsel, hire your own.
What do you think?
Why
my
do I
motion
have to
just
pay
made?
your legal fee?
My motion was just for that.
Who's gonna pay the bill?
It's a county issue.
Who's gonna pay the bill?
It's a county
Taxpayers.
issue, yeah. Who would pay the bill if we get sued times 3 later down the road?
That's what you got your insurance for.
Do you have plans to, I don't know if I should be right.
Marilyn, no. Excuse me.
Donna wants to go, let her go first.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I'm so angry, I wish I could write it down so that I could get my thoughts down. But first of all, I understand, Chad, where you're coming from, since you're getting what I think is bad legal advice from the person who caused this whole problem to begin with. For the general public, there's a long-term solution for this. There's an election next year. Let's get rid of this guy. But two, I think the only legal issue that you have, which should be able to be solved with a phone call, is what happens if we appropriate these funds and the Supreme Court rules against the sheriff of Jefferson County? That's the only legal issue. And I'm fairly confident a lawyer could answer that over the phone, and I'm sure he would tell you that you can appropriate funds. And if you appropriate funds in good faith, I don't see how you could be sued. But even with your attempts to avoid lawsuits, I think you're actually risking a lawsuit, because if I were a family member of Deputy Lopez, given the difficulties and the optics of suing your own employer, I would tell him to sue, and I would tell him to sue for damages. So there is a way to resolve this. Deputy Lopez is trying to resolve it in a way that doesn't hurt the county as much as it could. But if you guys don't make a decision, he has recourse, and he could get a hell of a lot more money than the $30,000 or $20,000 that he's asking for. And that's all I'm gonna say, because I'm angry and I don't want to say any more.
Okay, my turn now? Yeah, okay, backing up from last week, the other help. Okay, so some time ago, I ran into this old boy that doesn't live here anymore, but he still has family here. And we had a conversation, and as we were parting ways, he invited me to come over, and he wanted me to take me to their courthouse. And he said the people there were always happy, eager to help with anything, so professional, they always made you feel important. And then he said, your courthouse sucks. And that's too bad, because you guys get played pretty well. So, thinking back to the former Board of Supervisors, when Steve Dietrich, you weren't here, and Greg Moeller sat there, and he was the chairman. And I'd come in here, and sometimes I'll admit I was a little direct and spoke a little bit freely, but I never threatened anybody and never used curse words. And so one day, Moeller says to me, he says, you know, we have rules for public comments. I said, oh, where are the rules? Well, we're working on it. So several weeks later, they finally put guidelines for public comments on the bottom of the agenda, which I noticed it's not on there today. I don't know why, but anyhow, I think that was his greatest accomplishment. He was pretty proud of that. Somebody must have told him that we have a First Amendment. So, then the county attorney, he comes in here, scolds you three guys like your children for providing outside counsel. Well, he dismissed the charges against the Wagler family. To cover that up, he puts Deputy Lopez on the Brady Giglio list, and then he's the one that's caused this problem. So, the three of you guys let him get away with it. He just sat there and took it, let him get away with it. And I think you three need to go right over there and tell him to pick up his toys and go home. Don't need him anymore. He can't help us. And I think there's probably some of us in here that go with you. All right. Now, mid-February, I brought this anonymous letter in here that detailed IT specialist Wellington scamming the county out of overtime money. And you guys started looking into it and called for an audit. And our auditor, sitting right here, Robin Dietrich, she wasn't very happy about that. August the 15th of this year, 11:21 in the morning, Auditor Robin Dietrich called Vicki on her cell phone and told her she also had a copy of this letter. She took a photo of that letter and the envelope that came in and texted it to Vicki's cell. And Vicki told her that none of that conversation would leave the house, and I honored that. Vicky doesn't want anything to do with this Henry County debauchery. But the copy of this letter, right here, and I'm gonna give a copy of this to Tracy Lamb as a Hawkeye, clearly shows that this letter came to the Henry County Auditor at the Henry County Courthouse. It's an official county document. Okay? Anyhow, it ends up not very nice. Keep in mind, 11/21 is when she calls Vicky. We have a rural mail carrier. We don't get mail until between 12 and 1. So she knew I was getting that letter before I got it. That's no secret. Anyhow, I brought my copy of the letter in here, handed it off to somebody else that's named in it, and I think it made circulation around the courthouse. And nobody that I know of has a problem with it. I haven't heard of anything. So it was a malicious letter. And if you guys think it's okay to talk about us like that, we got a problem, I think. Anyhow, this, just to remind you, this letter accuses myself and 2 others, we're parents and grandparents, citizens and taxpayers, and us 3, and a supervisor that is equally elected and not subordinate to Miss Dietrich, of a pornographic act. That's disgusting. Anyhow, so she obviously wanted me to know that she had that letter because she sent the envelope that went to her. She's threatening me into silence. That's what it is. I can see that. It's pretty simple. She doesn't like our comments. So anyhow, speaking collectively to you, and Mark, if I can use your word here, because of your stupidity, you got us into a $5 million lawsuit. And we're aware of that. Anyhow, now we get this letter. What do you think that looks like? Okay, September the 2nd, Vicky got an anonymous phone call on her phone from a woman wanting to talk to me. She had just moved to town and was interested in county government. I asked her where she got that number. She wouldn't tell me, and she wouldn't tell me her name. So I gave her my number and told her not to call Vicky again. The next day, September the 3rd, 2 p.m., Derek Wellington called me. No caller ID, but I know it was him, because he told me something that only him and me would know about. Anyhow, without me asking, he said he saw that letter, that anonymous letter, and he knew who wrote it. He did not see the copy from me, so he had to see the copy that Ms. Dietrich has. Anyhow, that call lasted 24 minutes, by the way. He said if he revealed that who wrote that letter, it would jeopardize his legal case. He has an attorney in Iowa City. Supervisors Chad White and Steve Dietrich broke the law, and he's going to have them removed. So, I think if we find out who wrote that letter, we'll know who's quietly helping him get you 2 guys removed. And if my math is correct, and I said if we find out who wrote that letter, we'll also find out who had a hand in that hidden camera in the women's bathroom. Okay, October the 16th, public comments in the Board of Supervisor meeting. Ms. Dietrich scolds us and for comments and recording posted to Facebook, makes her department look bad. And then she puts the same thing in the KILJ written comments and then the Hawkeye letter. Okay, she invites anyone to her office, get the facts. She's nothing to hide, her door's open, she's the source. I've given her 3 times written questions, okay? I get nothing. So her comments are simply nonsense and harassment. And that's pretty good. In her comments, her written comments, she mocks us by writing that she takes great pride in keeping accurate county records. And she has that in her desk. On November the 3rd, she reminded me that she had that letter, again threatening me into silence. So, anyhow.
How did I threaten you?
You mind, I'm speaking. You wait
It's
your
past
turn.
your 3 minutes, but how did I
You
do
don't
that?
keep time, okay?
Mark. It's past his 3 minutes.
Can I go
I'm
on?
gonna let him speak today, but I would like,
Yeah.
I'm letting you speak, Cleveland.
Okay,
Go ahead.
thank you.
But I would like, of course, to keep it
I'm
briefer in the
gonna
future.
hustle through the rest of this. Anyhow, for those of you watching this video, you can go to the auditor's office and get a copy of that letter. She has to give it up. It's covered by the Freedom of Information Act. And you can find out how our county government treats the citizens and the taxpayers. Pretty simple. And if you find out who wrote that letter, I got a $100 bill for you. Bring me the proof. You'll get the $100. Keep in mind though, you gotta be 18 or older because of the content of the letter. Okay, next week maybe I'll come in here and read that letter for the people outside the county because Ms. Dietrich says transparency is a duty of service to taxpayers. So she'd want me to do that. Okay, and I'm gonna hand you guys, your supervisors, a couple, her letter and the letter to Hawkeye. And I just asked, lay them side by side, compare the words, the language, the accusations, and the people. Draw your own conclusion. And with that, Ms. Dietrich, make sure you get all this in the minutes because the meeting hasn't been adjourned yet.
Thank you. Thank you. Earl?
My one question, and I'm sorry for interrupting you earlier. I'm pretty new at this. My one question was, assuming you do find outside legal counsel and they say, absolutely, reimburse Lopez, here's how you do it, would you be paying him interest or anything like that, like the gentleman said? Or it taking slightly longer, I'm not sure.
I don't think by code we can pay interest on that, but actual damages is my understanding. But again, I'm not the attorney to get that legal advice.
All right.
Melanie?
Yes, thank you for addressing the video question, so I don't have to ask that. I do have the posting for boards and commissions. With the help of a couple other community members, I found a lot of errors in people that are on boards and commissions, so I would like to get that figured out and also find out if the media is going to share that information, because I've been amazed at how many people just that I've shared it with. So I think it would be great to share that on the newspapers and the radio. Finally, as far as the conversation today about the reimbursement for Deputy Lopez, I feel like as Board of Supervisors, your job is based on Iowa code. It's very clear in Iowa code what your abilities and responsibilities are. You act in good faith, you follow Iowa code. So I don't understand how this particular situation is any different. If you get sued based on acting in good faith on Iowa code, then you deal with that. It's not any different in this situation than any other. I do have a question. Has the county attorney, I know he gave you an informal, not legal opinion a couple weeks ago prior to the Carlos coming in asking for the reimbursement. Has he given you a legal opinion now?
I have asked some specific questions of them to respond in writing.
Okay, so you have a formal legal opinion in writing?
They have shared with me that they will not respond anything verbal, just conversational wise, that it has to be in writing, and they will respond in writing. I was told the other day that the county attorney's office does not trust the Board of Supervisors.
Interesting.
I was disappointed to hear that. I was disappointed I was disappointed to hear that, but there was a response back to some of the questions that I had asked.
Okay, so I would like a copy of the legal opinion response as public information. So whether I get that today or I need to ask for that in writing, I would like that, please. The other point I want to make is about timing. My father had a saying about kicking the can down the road. It doesn't matter whether you deal with it here or down the road, you're still gonna have to deal with it. So I think in voting, the two of you that voted today to seek outside counsel, I would encourage you to have some sort of a time frame, because I feel like Deputy Lopez has endured hell, honestly, for 2.5 years. And so not knowing when your hell is going to end and you're going to have that reimbursement is further physical, emotional, financial trauma to him and his family. I think we owe it to them as a county to have some sort of, not just we're gonna seek outside counsel, well, it's the holidays, things are busy, we can't get an appointment, we can't get anybody on the phone, we don't know who to ask. I think he deserves to have some sort of a time frame. We're gonna do that today. We're gonna make a phone call. We're gonna find out when that is, maybe communicate directly with him. But to continue to kick the can down the road is, I don't know what to say, disrespectful. It's also continuing to perpetuate the animosity in the county. So I would encourage you, if that's what you're gonna do. We've had 3 weeks since he was in here from his first request. Why hasn't phone calls been made if that was the direction you were leaning? It sounds like you've reached out to a lot of people. So I think getting somebody on the hook to provide that outside counsel is important, not just reaching out and asking, kind of how you've done is great, but I think you need to have some sort of time frame to that.
Well, and to answer that too, for us to seek outside legal counsel, there has to be the formality that we just went through.
Correct, so why didn't we do that last week? So I'm just asking you not to keep kicking the can down the road and perpetuating this, because I think he deserves better than that. So, thank you.
Bill?
Yeah, I believe it was a week ago, Becky Wilson came in here. As we all know, she is a licensed attorney in the state of Iowa. She's seeking election for the county attorney position. She offered her opinion. It's on video. That's as good as writing. Why do you need to hire somebody? You say we need a lawyer who's going to give an opinion. She gave her opinion. Is her opinion not worthy because it was offered? She did get some free advice, free opinion. I don't know why that isn't good enough.
Along with code sections too.
Yeah, and the code is clearly stated on the screen. Also, I've been here 2 years in a row after the first of the year when organizations come and ask for money. And I assume that's fulfilled. Do you seek a legal opinion on that for your philanthropy? That's it.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll go. As many of you know, my name is Beth Lopez and I'm Carlos's wife. For the past 2 years, we've remained silent. We've refrained from responding to media, the public commentary, and the county attorney's office dragging our names through the mud. But we are exhausted. Exhausted from fighting for our jobs, defending our integrity, our ethics, and our livelihoods, all due to retaliation driven by the personal vendettas. As Carlos stated, we are not seeking revenge, nor do we want to create further division. What we are seeking is for individuals like each of you not to be intimidated or influenced by bullies. The ISAC manual for county boards of supervisors is clear. You have the authority to reimburse or compensate individuals who have been wronged by any county official. Carlos was wronged, and we are hopeful this board will correct that. But that hopefulness is starting to fade. The guidance on whether or not to approve our reimbursement is simply not needed. However, giving any weight to the Henry County Attorney's legal opinion on this matter should be given no value, as he is the reason we are sitting here today. Judge Rydell stated multiple times that the county attorney abused his discretion. The court's ruling made it very clear this situation stemmed from a personal vendetta. Carlos and I have fought tirelessly, and we will continue to do so, but we also expect others to stand up for what is right, to support what will strengthen Henry County, and to ensure we do not deter dedicated individuals from wanting to work here. The Jefferson County Attorney previously attempted to find any basis to claim that the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors lacked the authority to reimburse their sheriff after he endured the same attacks we faced. However, ultimately, they have found no such basis, as the Board of Supervisors does in fact have that authority.
Thank you.
I know I've already made a comment, but I'd like to make two more. The first is, why is there never a representative from the county attorney's office at these meetings? There were when I first started coming to these. Are they afraid of us? Are they ashamed to show their faces? And two, I know that as supervisors of one county out of 90-some counties, you have limited ability to make things happen on the state level, but I would really encourage someone to start a campaign to look at what other states and other local governments have done, which is to set up a board consisting of county attorneys and sheriffs and other representatives to resolve these issues so that you don't have to go to court, to have due process and also an opportunity to challenge being put on the list. And having said that, I don't know where you would go, but I think the state legislature should really get a handle on this and figure out a way to deal with this other than the court system.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I think Melanie and I learned a lot from our dads. She wasn't supposed to kick a can down the road. I wasn't supposed to pull sand down a rat hole. Any more money spent on any lawyer concerning this is down the rat hole. It's state there in the government and the state papers. It already tells what you guys can do. It's cut and dried. As a taxpayer, I don't want my money going down that rat hole anymore.
When Ms. Dietrich interrupted me, I just forgot one comment. That letter, and I'm gonna give it to you again, it's defamation and it's libel, okay? So I want you to think about that. That's all.
Anybody else? Rich?
Thank you. I was trying to keep my mouth shut here, but I think there's a couple things I'd like to talk about. First, you mentioned the audio video, and I think that's a fabulous idea. I will remind you three gentlemen, that in 2021, we put a Zoom capability system in the Sheriff's Office IT training room. It's still there. We don't use it. Rather than go out and spend another $20,000 or $30,000 on hardware, come get it. Please use it in this room. It's basically free at this point because it's sitting there not getting used. We've already paid for it years ago. Second topic, obviously everybody in the room wants to talk about this issue with Carlos in the Sheriff's Office and the County Attorney's Office. I will remind you guys, you two specifically, no offense, you weren't here when this all started. You guys gave me outside counsel in December of 23. I came in and asked for it. You granted it. I was thankful that you were doing it. It was the right thing. I would encourage you to consider with whoever attorney firm you talk to. I am in the negative here probably because I encourage you to get that attorney. I started in December of 23 encouraging you to do it. I was chastised in June and I was accused of misappropriation of money by hiring that outside counsel, if you remember that. And I was chastised for doing it. And so were you guys. It was wrong in June. I came back later asking for outside counsel again because there was a bona fide conflict of interest. You guys remember that, right? I came back in October of 24 and asked for it again, November of 24 and asked for outside counsel again. You denied it. I came back again trying to be persistent in January 25. You denied it again. It was terrible decision making. No offense to you guys, I got a lot of respect for you, but it was a terrible decision. I had a need for it. There was a bona fide conflict of interest, and I stated that from December of 23 all the way today. I'm telling you again, there's a conflict of interest. Last week, the Supreme Court of Iowa determined a conflict of interest is simply if two parties have an issue and either one of them feels there's a conflict of interest, there is a conflict of interest. That was the state auditor versus the Attorney General of Iowa, and they ruled in favor of the auditor who felt there was a conflict of interest. So I think you should hire this attorney. Not obviously, two of you already said you need to pay Carlos, and I 100% agree. I've agreed with this young man from the beginning. He's a good guy, and he deserves to be reimbursed. But In June of 24, we three plus Greg Moeller were chastised for misappropriation of money because we did not pass a resolution to hire outside counsel. If you recall correctly, that's my recollection, not sure if it's 100% correct or not, that we didn't do it properly, and that's why we were chastised. We should have passed a resolution when we did it in December of 23. We did not. We did it with a motion like you did today. So before you move forward, I think you should make a motion and pass a resolution to hire outside counsel, or you're going to be right back in the June 24 meeting where you're being chastised for not doing it correctly. Remember that?
I think the resolution.
And Chad, I couldn't agree with you more. Earlier in the meeting, you said you want to be in compliance with the laws. You want to be in compliance with the laws of Iowa. I couldn't agree more with you. I am the sheriff of the county. I 100% agree with that. Remember that. There's lots of laws that we're ignoring. I'm going to bring that back up when it's appropriate. We need to be in compliance with our laws. Thank you.
It was June 6th.
It was.
Anybody else? Carlos?
So I don't have a prepared speech today, so keep that in mind. I just want to say our family has endured a lot due to one person in his office. I just want it noted on the record and everything else. I'm at the point now in my life when I look in my 2 daughters' eyes, my 2 sons' eyes, and my wife's eyes, all I see are scars. This incident has created scars for my entire family that we will never heal from. I hope that the decision is made that we are paid back, but keep that in mind. I get to spend the rest of my life looking at those scars. And it's one thing when it affects me, when I go on calls for service, and I have individuals say, oh, aren't you that one deputy? Especially when prior to Judge Rydell's decision, and I was discredited as a deputy for that entire time, I still get the, oh, you're that deputy. Oh, you're that deputy. I can take it. I'm tired of seeing it in my family's eyes. That's not what I became a father for, and that's not what I became a husband for. That's all I have.
Seeing none other, we are going to be in recess until 11 o'clock. Thank you.
The public knows when enough is enough. When will the Henry County, Iowa Board of Supervisors realize it? Thanks for watching, and thanks to my sponsors, Griner Auto Body, Car Doctor, McDonald Boneyard, Your Choice Family Restaurant, Girling Repair, B&B Propane and the family of Jet Stops, CW Tree Trimming LLC, Iowa Technology Systems, Dutch Market, and Coffee Talk. I'm your host, John Bain. Merry Christmas and stay friendly, Southeast Iowa.